Woman who had affair with Texas Christian radio host The Money Doctor is given a life sentence for involvement in Ponzi scheme. Folks, have you ever heard of anybody receiving a life sentence where somebody was not unalived in the process? Or more importantly, receiving a life sentence for money crimes? You know, I think about Bernie Madoff, and I'm pretty sure that he received a life sentence for the Ponzi scheme that he was running. But again, have you ever heard of anybody receiving a life sentence for crimes involving scamming people out of money? Well, if you haven't, we're going to be talking about that here today. This story comes to us out of Texas. And in fact, this story has been ongoing now for a few years. I believe that it first started getting attention back in 2019 when this Christian radio host, nicknamed the Money Doctor, but real name William Neal Doc Gallagher, was first arrested or sentenced for running a Ponzi scheme targeting elderly people out of their retirement money and any other money that they may have, and promoting this investment opportunity, which again was a scam, through a Texas Christian radio show. This story first started getting attention back in 2019 when this guy would be sentenced to 25 years in one county in Texas, indicted in another county, Tarrant County, where there he would receive 3 life sentences plus, I believe, 30 years for similar crimes and charges, all in relation to this Ponzi scheme that he was running. For the third time, like I said, all of this first started getting attention, I believe, back in 2019. Well, it's just now where there's more developments to this particular story because his lover, 65-year-old Debra Mae Carter, here's this beautiful woman right here, just received a life sentence for her role and involvement in all of this as well. Oh, Debra. What will she be like in prison? Man, we've been talking about Texas as of late and the fact that they don't play at all. Shorty, I mean, Unc or Auntie, whatever you want to call this elderly lady, Debra Mae Carter, 65 years old, she just got a life sentence for her role in this Ponzi scheme. Like, did they not come at her with a plea deal? Like, hey, look, just testify against the Money Doctor and, you might get like 25 years. Or is she thinking to herself, I'm 65 years old. Man, hey, I done lived. And with that type of thinking, possibly rolled the dice and took these people to trial. Well, folks, that's exactly what she did. She did not take any type of a plea deal. She did not roll over on her lover. Let me reiterate the fact that the Money Doc was having an affair with this woman, Debra Mae Carter. They were on a Texas Christian radio show. It's already a sin. Lust and things like envying some other man's wife or some shit like that. You're already committing sins like that. Then you're scamming God's people out of their hard-earned money. Forget the fact that dude got 25 years plus 3 life sentences plus 30 years, and Debra Mae Carter, 65 years old, just got a life sentence herself. Forget all of that. These folks is going to be sentenced to eternal damnation when it's time to really pay the Pied Piper. They going to hell. How you on a Texas radio show scamming people? What did they say? What word did they use? Bilking? Bilked senior citizens out of millions of dollars. That's the word that they used. Y'all certainly going to hell for all of this. The mistress of the Money Doctor, a Texas Christian radio host, was given a life sentence for her involvement in a Ponzi scheme. The scheme involved the couple stealing millions from almost 200 retired individuals over a span of 10 years. They don't say how many millions right here, though. Debra Mae Carter, 65 years old, bilked senior citizens out of millions of dollars alongside Ponzi schemer William Neal Doc Gallagher, the Tarrant County District Attorney announced Tuesday. The money-lusting duo swindled their victims with Gallagher's role primarily focusing on receiving the money while Carter made sure their targets could not recover the funds. Folks, this story certainly belongs on an episode of American Greed, and I'm not sure if it hasn't already been featured there. That's crazy, man. They're taking money from people and ensuring, making sure they ain't never going to be able to see that money again. Gallagher got the listeners of his show, okay, now they're saying it's his show, The Money Doctor, to meet him. Maybe they both had a show. I'm gonna be stuck on that this entire video. Whose show was it? Gallagher got the listeners of his show, The Money Doctor, to meet him where he discussed what he called a risk-free income. If it sounds too good to be true, sadly, it probably is. A risk-free income guaranteeing annual returns of 5% to nearly 9% if they invested in securities with him. He described it as a retirement income you'll never outlive. Oh, well, that's absolutely the truth. You'll certainly never outlive it because there is no retirement income to speak of investing with this guy who's just taking your money, and the woman as well. Prosecutors named Carter the mastermind behind the operation, which sought to pay for the couple's lavish retirement. Telling people that they're going to live lavishly, all you got to do is invest with us, all the while taking them folks' hard-earned money and retirement so that they could live lavishly themselves. Again, I ask you, what do you think these folks is faring like in prison? You know, I don't know what institution they're at because, again, these are million-dollar money crimes. They're probably serving time in a federal prison somewhere. I got to imagine that their charges did get to the federal level. So maybe they're at like some camp or a low, maybe even a medium. If they're at a medium, they're probably not doing so well. If they're at a camp or a low, they probably ain't having too many problems, but maybe they are. What if old Debra Mae Carter getting extorted up in the camp wherever she's at? Oh, you want to bilk people out of millions of dollars? Hey, come here, Debra. Wash my granny drawers. You know, I had heard, and I can't remember who shared this with me, but I had heard that Bernie Madoff, talking about another Ponzi scheme operator, turned into a homosexual while he was serving time. I can't remember where I heard that, and no big deal about it, but hey, to each their own. If you ain't going nowhere, you might as well, get in where you fit in, I guess is one way. These were hard-earned retirement dollars which got put into their own accounts over and over again. She is a blight on society. She's just a liar. That's what she does. Talking about Debra Mae Carter. Again, probably sitting in some prison right now, washing some granny drawers up in a toilet. Yo, hey, get them skid marks up. I better not see not near skid mark up in them drawers, Debra. Does Debra deserve to be extorted? Does she deserve to have a tough time in prison? We talk so much about people with the bad type of charges and the time that they deserve to serve. But I've also mentioned that thieves are also highly frowned upon in the prison system. Now, stealing money and embezzling money is not, it's a taboo situation, double-edged sword a little bit. Because on one hand, people could take offense to that type of situation that got you locked up. On the other hand, there could be prisoners in there that is like, yo, Debra Doe. Hey, Mrs. Carter. Hey, Mr. Carter. That's a Lil Wayne song. Hey, Carter, tell me how you did it, though. Oh, you got a radio show? Shit, I'm about to go home and start me a prison YouTube channel. You could put me on. I can't guarantee how this old lady's time is, but certainly some plausible scenarios. So let's go ahead and fast forward to some more interesting things about this story. It may be a little bit boring to you thus far. Let me try to hype this thing up a little bit. Old Debra Mae Carter, 65 years old, facing obviously a life sentence because that's what she got. Shorty went up into the courtroom with no lawyer, represented herself, and pled not guilty. And I don't think that situation could have played out any worse for her. Again, ex-nay on the life sentence, A. Think about this. You're like, look, you're talking to people out in the world. Hey, yeah, I'm going in here. I'm going to represent myself. Man, what's the worst that's going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to find me guilty and give me a life sentence. That's the absolute worst that's going to happen. That's like a lightning bolt striking an Eskimo in Hawaii who's building an igloo. The chances of that happening, boom. Exactly, that happened. That Eskimo was building that igloo in Hawaii and got struck by that lightning bolt because, shorty, you damn sure did get sentenced to life, though, going up in the courtroom representing yourself. Carter was found to have laundered the money primarily through rental homes, land, and fake charities. About $200,000 in gold and silver was seized from her travel trailer. I'd love to see what that damn thing looked like. I'm sure it was exotic. Luxurious, to say the least. And then going back to Gallagher, the money doctor, they said he was arrested in Dallas in March of 2019, pled guilty to theft, money laundering, and security frauds after being found to have received up to $29.2 million from about 60 investors from December 2014 to 2019. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison for those charges. The radio host was then indicted in Tarrant County in August of 2019, where he was sentenced to 3 life sentences plus 30 years in prison in November of 2021 on charges including forgery, securing the execution of a document by deception. Damn, that's a descriptive charge right there. Theft of property and exploitation of the elderly. Ooh, boy, I know that's a charge that's going to be frowned upon up in prison. But I think Stickman, the money dog, I think he's like 85 years old. So sentencing him to all of this time, what's it even matter? He done lived. He made $29.2 million over the course of 7 years. He did my whole prison bid out here in the free world making $30 million. While I was sitting in prison, actually not really because I got out in 2015. But to think that when I got released in 2015, this dude was still knee deep in the Ponzi scheme. Pretty crazy. I wonder if they ran any of his time concurrent. Probably not. He's never going to see the free world again. That's evident. He's definitely going to die in prison, and probably will Debra Mae Carter. Speaking of Carter, she represented herself in the trial, which ended on July 8th and was marred by delays because of unavailable witnesses and Carter briefly checking herself into a hospital. Yeah, so she was definitely trying to prolong this thing for as long as possible. One of Carter's victims called out the conspirator for showing no remorse for her crimes. Debbie Carter deserves life in prison, one of the victims said. She has ruined so many lives, it's despicable. And that is exactly what she got. Life in prison. I want to leave you with a question, a little food for thought, something to ponder. I've heard of charges involving money crimes where people receive like 5 or 10 years. Is the risk ever worth the reward? For example, like robbing a bank or a money truck, looking at movies like The Town or Heat or things like that, where they make it look so glam. It's never worth it, just to be honest. But do you think, this is the question I guess I'll leave you guys with, do you think that the punishment fits the bill, the crime? A life sentence for laundering money. They didn't even say how much she was involved with. They said the money doc was $29.2 million. Are they saying, hey, look, he got, he was $29.2 million. She the same damn thing. She was involved with the dude. They was having a lustful, sinful affair and exploiting people, basically through the church to a certain degree, and scamming the shit out of them. Sadly, this is probably nothing new. They just got caught. You think to yourself, how commonplace is shit like this out here in today's society? It's kind of like coming across the border Like George Young in that movie Blow. Unfortunately for you, the line you crossed was real and the plants you brought with you were illegal. Think of how many times people don't get caught doing that. I got to imagine in a case involving the money crimes, it's probably somewhat similar. You let me know what you think. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you think about all of this. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!